Hello. Oops. Here it is. Hello, hello. Turn this music down. Make sure I got my drawing tools. Where is it? Here. And we're ready. How's everyone doing? Hope you're all well. Welcome to another online class. Today we're going to be looking at Kimura entries. Now what's going on here? There we go. Let's see. This goes on this side. Is this our last lesson? I actually don't know actually. I have to ask Caesar. I don't know if he's running classes until the end of until the gym's open or not. But maybe. I'll send him a text later to see what's going on. But yeah, Kimura entries today. So this is quite a fun class. We're just gonna look at a bunch of ways to get into a Kimura if you're a Kimura kind of maniac. But yeah, gonna see it from all sorts of places. I was gonna kind of do half the class so I could save it for Friday, but since we might not be here on Friday, I'll try to blast through all of it. It's quite quick stuff. But I always liked Kimuras. Ever since I kind of found out how nastily strong they are from a competition. But yeah, I'm not sure why, but Kimuras don't move with appears to me. I just get annoyed. Usually because they're trying to rip your arm apart. I usually use the Kimura to set up a back takes and that kind of stuff. But it's a really good submission, especially now because there's lots of transitions towards it. But we're going to start off with the traditional one. Kimura set up from closed guard. Here we're going to do our swim move where we break the posture. Going to stuff the head. And we've done this a few times in classes. But my camera's frozen again, hasn't it? Has it frozen again? Oh, it hasn't. I think I fixed it then. That's good. It was frozen for the last like 2 lessons. I won't jinx it. But the main part here is to stuff the head and leaf, hoping that they posture up the wrong way. And if they do, we catch ourselves in a Kimura. Perfect. And then the main thing about Kimura is you don't want them to grab a hold of anything. So just pull that towards your chest before you try to apply the submission. As a general rule, it's all good. So that's our swim, stuff the head. As they try to posture up, try to get that Kimura. So we're going to start from the easy ones and then make our way up to crazier and crazier entries. Another hip bump attempt here, but from a collar tie. So again, I've broken the posture, but I set up this collar tie kind of grip. They posture up. We're going to sit up on our hands, throw them, and then if they base, we get access to that little arm again. And we can start looking for our sub. Okay, one more time. They sit up, you sit up with them, try the sweep, doesn't work, look for Kimura. Now as a general rule, this is quite a good one as well. This could be from closed guard, De La Hiva, a bunch of other guards that we saw later. But anytime you can bend someone's arm from like a stiff arm kind of approach, you might be able to set up a Kimura. So here I'm going to take her mind off by doing a flower sweep. So I got same side sleeve, I'm gonna grab the trousers, and I'm gonna do the sweep where I stomp my foot down, and I'm trying to collapse it to that side of my leg. Now, I might not sweep her, but what happens is I made her kind of bend her elbow like this, just from the sweep attempt. Now, anytime there's a bent elbow, we can do a swim move, like this. And anytime we do this kind of bicep ride, I call it a bicep ride basically, where you're not actually swimming your whole arm through, but you're just cupping the bicep, you can swim for Kimura. So again, here's a normal speed. There. Quite a fun one to get good at. People don't expect it. One of my favorite ones, that one. So those are from close guard. There's not that many options from close guard, but those are your kind of traditional three. Well, this one's not so traditional, but the rest. Moving on to our half guard setups. This is where we kind of see most of Kimura's happening. Firearm attacks. So I've got access to the wrist here, and with my other arm, we're just gonna pull the elbow towards us. That's gonna create that little bend on her shoulder, and then we have that Kimura there. And then with any Kimura, from the bottom, it's quite good to just always shrimp underneath your partner, to kind of make their shoulder a bit weaker. So here I'm just shrimping before I even apply. Try to always follow that little rule. Try to get their shoulder to the mat instead of on top of you. So that's our half guard entry. And with the half guard entry, you can get quite creative. You can set it up with a shoulder crunch instead. So here, maybe the shoulder is a bit more forward. I'm gonna set up my shoulder crunch and then switch to a Kimura. I can throw my leg over the top to make it like a Kimura tarp, but that's another fine entry there as well. Now, one setup that can go extremely wrong is the sit-up version. So I would avoid you trying to do this version where you kind of sit up on your elbow to fish for that arm. And this is the main reason why. People can handcuff you from behind, and then you get a nice kind of face plant to the mat. And worse, you can get your guard passed and even get your back taken. So if you're on top and you sit up in this kind of position, just be worried about this move that someone can do too. Alright, now we are gonna get into the non-traditional ones. So now things are getting a bit more funny. Reverse Kimuras, these are not taught very often, but they're extremely powerful. So now we're gonna focus on the near arm, which is this one. I'm gonna drag the arm, just like a normal arm drag. Boom. And then I'm expecting my partner to try to rip the arm out, obviously. Otherwise, you just do your regular back take. When they do try to rip it out, I'm gonna sit up and set up a reverse Kimura. So now this is a terrible angle, but all I'm doing after I drag this right arm is gonna go underneath and connect to this wrist. There. Once you set up the grip, you don't need the half guard anymore, okay, because you need to roll the person over. So you just get out of half guard and you start shrimping underneath them, like this, on the hopes that they kind of accept the pass. And if they accept the pass, you're able to kind of get to this position, flip them over, or maybe even tap them if they don't know what they're doing. Here, now here the arm is completely free, so you might end up with a tap, but most of the time people will step over their own arm to avoid the tap, and that's what gives you the actual sweep. You're gonna be kind of pressing against their hip and then sweeping them. It's a fun little move to do. People don't kind of expect it. Crab guard Kimura setup. This is another one of my favorites. Here I'm gonna take collar and sleeve, and I'm gonna switch my half guard to the other side. So from here I switch my half guard and I cross my feet just like hip clamp guard, and basically from here you can start attacking this arm if you see that little open elbow. So you can see it is possible. Most of the time you think I can only attack this far arm for Kimuras from half guard, but you've actually got a bunch on the near arm as well. Crab setup, the reverse Kimura. By bunch I mean two. Moving on to kind of open guard scenarios now. So that's pretty much half of them from half guard. You can do a few more, but they're all kind of the same in terms of you're in half guard. It's just the aspect of getting there is a bit different. Like you can throw your leg over first, that kind of stuff. You can have kind of pinned down variations of it, but they're pretty much all the same. So moving on to the kind of open guard scenarios, we have the butterfly shoulder crunch one, kind of the traditional one from butterfly guard. Crunch them in, throw your leg over the top, and that's you pretty much set up. Again, you have to be good with your shoulder crunches for this to work, but that's a fine setup as well. And now, so that was the bottom. Now reverse half guard. So these are your kind of non-traditional ones, but they're very fun to do. One of them is if the person's ever back stepping on you, and this could be for a leg lock or any sort of attack that they do for reverse half guard. They often leave their arm around, and we can do kind of a shoulder crunch, and if we have enough shrimping power we might be able to throw our leg over and set up this really nasty Kimura here. The only thing you have to be careful with is making sure that we have a nice trap of the legs there, because if we don't, they'll just step out and we'll be in side control. But this is a really powerful one. Cool, one more time, get back step, get your shoulder crunch, shrimp, throw your leg over and start fishing for that arm. De la Riva, another one that you can do. So from our berimbolo chain, we might be able to do that side sweep that we talked about, where we make the person base like this, and if we can have access to that arm as they're falling, that's us in a Kimura again. And anytime they base, one, you can attack the Kimura, or two, you can do a shoulder crunch. So I could just start a shoulder crunch here and then switch to Kimura, or you can just switch straight to Kimura, or chain them one to the other, but pretty much any of those work. Double guard pull, so from a berimbolo, pretty much the same from the standing variation. if you're here and you see someone posted with their arm, you can just abort the berimbolo and just sit up and dive for the arm. So you can see I got a bit more creative on the 3 last ones, but that kind of concludes all of our Kimuras from the bottom position. So we had traditional, close guard, they posture up, we look for the arm. The traditional hip bump attempt to a Kimura when they sit up. Kimura from the arm bicep ride, we call it. Then we get into the half guard chain. So far side Kimura attacks, we have the elbow pull, shoulder pull. Remember to shrimp underneath them to get enough kind of power behind getting that shoulder to the mat. We had that shoulder crunch set up. That shoulder's a bit forward and you can get a nice grip. Remember the dangers behind sitting up for Kimura, which is getting handcuffed, so be worried of that. And then we get into on the near side arm attacks, which is not so traditional. We can do a reverse Kimura by arm dragging. When they posture back up, we set up our grip, we get out of half guard and we start spinning underneath to finish it off. We have our crab guard chain, switch, cross your feet, and if that arm is accessible, try to find an opening there. Kind of an open guard scenario from butterfly, if you can get another shoulder crunch. And you can see the shoulder crunch is just so versatile from pretty much anywhere. And then our last little ones from the bottom are reverse half guard. Again, we set up that shoulder crunch, then switch to Kimura. De La Riva variation, so make them post that elbow and then attack the arm. And another berimbolo one from double guard pull. If you see that hand posted, you can dive in for that too. So that's pretty much half. I'd say maybe about, there's tons more, but I'd say at least 50% of Kimuras that you can do from the bottom. There's lots of different creative entries, obviously. But those are kind of your traditional ones, and the last few non-traditional ones. So this is why the Kimura is so great. We can work on the Kimura from the top as well, and you got a bunch of different moves from here. So we're starting off with starting off from the half guard kind of chain. This variation is kind of the one that people kind of teach the most. They have a frame on you. You're gonna swim and control their wrist, and then you're just gonna do a back step. Whoops, a back. What's wrong with this? My drawing tool is not here. I was using it earlier, wasn't I? Change the key. Draw. There it is. So you're gonna control that wrist and just do a kind of a back step. There it is. And then here you can start kind of bringing the arm up, making them uncomfortable, and at the same time trying to step out if you can. Again, these are just setups, so we're just getting into position. I'm not going through the break kind of mechanics that much. Now we get into the kind of good stuff, I'll say. these are setups now that will get you into what we call a crucifix position. So this variation here, we've managed to get the wrist, so we're far better off just going for a regular Kimura. Now often we can get into this kind of forearm trap position, which is as the person tries to look for underhook, we kind of trap their elbow in this kind of V shape. And now you can dive over the top and set up this TV position, or crucifix we call it as well. But again, there it is. And we might do a crucifix lesson one day, but it's quite good. You got tons of variations of moves that you can do, and it's a great controlling position as well. We have, just like we had reverse half guard from the bottom, we also have it from the top. If we do a back step, we can start attacking this arm, and it basically becomes a similar version to the half guard one, but slightly kind of different. So again, then we get to the traditional side controller one, where we pull the person on our side, step over, and then set up our Kimuras from there. Just a different angle to see. This is the one you probably get taught as a beginner. Now we get into the diving stuff. This is where it gets crazy. So this is against sit-up guarders. If we can make them base on that elbow or arm, we can dive behind and set up a Kimura. Hear Kiwi screaming. And that's both with this arm and this arm. So we just see the setup from the far near arm first, which is this one. And this is the oval version of it, but now we're gonna attack this side. So you're gonna start off with a guillotine, and that's just so we make the person's hands go up to defend the guillotine. And when they do, we get access to that far arm on top. Again. And just like we did from the kind of knee slice back step, you can also do a reverse half guard sit, just sitting back and then setting up a Kimura. So as you can see, from bottom and top, you got a bunch of Kimuras. I'll quickly recap the top variations because we already did the bottom one. So from traditional half guard, we kind of have, interesting enough, pretty much only the top arm for attacks. So Wing Chun setup. We have the elbow trap variation, where the person goes for an underhook, and we've managed to trap the elbow there. Now we do the back step over them and set it up. Reverse half guard top, another back step, Kimura, our traditional kind of side control one. We pull up our person to the back, to the side, and then set up your grips. And then we get into the diving stuff. We can attack this arm if they post, and this arm if it comes up. So here I'm using my collar tie to just make a base so I can go for it. You can threaten a guillotine on the hopes that they kind of use their wrist to kind of defend, and then you get access to the Kimura on that side. Or you can just do a aggressive back step, landing on them with a Kimura. But that pretty much concludes the Kimura kind of setup. Any questions, fire them away now. But you can see, you can just, if you are a Kimura freak, you can pretty much find a Kimura from any position. that you can think of. Did half guard, butterfly, reverse half guard, top and bottom, De La Hiva, double guard pull. You can also get a few from the back, but that's pretty much it. So today, yeah, the defense lesson's quite a bit easier, to be honest, than the attacking one. Just always keep your elbows close. And they're quite easy to avoid early on if you don't, if you're getting caught. But it's just the kind of system of kind of rules that you have to remember when you get into a Kimura, which is like protect your wrist first of all, which is like grab onto something to hold on, and then just mostly shoulder related stuff. But we can do a counter lesson someday. Perfect. So moving on, we got some rows today. Where is it? Should be here. Now, and just see what this one is. Oh, so this is a gi row, I think. Alright, so we've got this one first. Let's see what happens here. Hopefully you've got it, you won't just see feet. So here I'm pulled guard. We've got interesting kind of low kind of style of passing from the guy on top. So he's got 2 on one leg, and he's just trying to kind of pass to one side. I'm framing his shoulders just so he doesn't kind of dive in. And I believe, I don't know what happens, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be either an arm drag or a guillotine. That's coming. So here I got a collar tie control. So from this is, I believe we were working on the butterfly class before I rode with him. So I think I'm using most of the butterfly chain that we worked on. But here, there's the hip heist to the guillotine like we did in the butterfly class. Set up my guillotine. Didn't look tight enough, so I kind of gave up, I think. I'm back to butterfly here. He does a nice little move, which is forcing me into the half guard, just like we did on top. So I don't get to play butterfly here. So I kind of just accept, and we end up in half guard, kind of sitting half guard. I pass the lapel here. Now here's a really dangerous move for me. So I kind of aborted it. But there, I reckon he could have passed quite easily. This move that I'm doing should only be done from reverse half guard. But I thought I'd experiment because I trapped his leg here. So normally you just need to frame his neck here and bridge. That's the traditional move. But I kind of used the butterfly hook instead, which I don't think works as better. He could have just stepped over, I think, even if I'm controlling this. So I stuff his knee back in. Probably realized it was a bad plan. You get to deep half, He's got a tight underhook. I grab my own leg to get up, to get a butterfly kind of hook. Now, because he has a deep underhook and I have this under his leg, the underhook power kind of goes a little bit. And you can see I can kind of lift him with my arms and legs, and he's kind of floating. We get off balance there. I think I was switching to an X before we knocked over the mats. He does a nice back step here, clears the hook. Now if he cleared my legs properly there, he might have gotten a pass. Not sure what's happening there. Quick style pass attempt there. Now I do have his wrist, I believe. That's my usual counter. So he can always get past my legs if I have the wrist, but it's very hard for him to stabilize because I have that wrist pinned to his waist, and my other arm can just kind of push him so he can replace. Can't see what's going on here. Trying to get to butterfly here, but because he stands so often, I don't think I can get my butterfly guard going on. I might have gotten it here. And let's see if I do any of the moves. That's a 2-on-1 grip. I might have gotten an underhook there, but it's hard to see. And loop choke attempt from him. I don't know if he dove or if I swept him. Do a lot of tell him to stay on this side. Guard pull followed by footlock attempt. This is from kind of one leg X chain. Tries to go for a belly down footlock. I just about cleared the foot. Boom, boom. Ankle pick, that was nice. Footlock, Kai footlock attempt, I think. Yeah. I tried to drag it. Makes him take the De La Riva hook out. Now it's a Toreada battle with a leg drag attempt. I need to beat that leg. And luckily there, I start getting towards his back. He does a quick roll, and I end up in leg drag. Shin trap. It's there. I'm just switching sides. Now it's hub. So this is the float passing that we were doing in butterfly class. This time, so last time he recovered with the sleeve grip. So you can see he keeps the sleeve grip every time, and he kind of pushes the sleeve grip or the collar tie, and he kind of is able to kind of replace guard by pushing the sleeves or stiff arming me away. But this time I think I was a bit more ready for it. So here he starts stiff arming me. So I hide the grip under my leg, I think, and then basically breaks the grip or makes it really weak. Get side control. This was before the Kimura class, so Kimuras was not on my mind there. I think I was also looking at turtle, so I'm just doing some turtle moves as well. There's his sit-up kind of attempts again. So that time I think he tried to sit up again, but I throw my leg over the head. I don't usually like doing that, but I did it for some reason, and I set up a Kimura there. Well, speaking about Kimuras, we ended up in a Kimura somehow. So that was one row. Couldn't see any much butterfly going on, unfortunately. I don't think I have a no-gi round here, do I? It's the same one. Oh, this one's a bit different. Let's just quickly go for this one. There's the last one. And just type in the mistakes I made. So one, kind of allow him to get control of my legs a bit too easy. So yeah, he's doing that same style of controlling my legs again. And let's see if he makes the same mistake again of letting me collar tie. This time I'm doing an arm drag, I think, yeah. I drag him to half guard on that one. On the previous one I used the collar tie to get up. Here I get the belt grip. Now I'm trying to switch to the butterfly hook. I think this is the one where I'm actually trying to do butterfly. Just pushing the hook down, which is nice. Bit of lag there.